I think Jordan Peterson is a great man,
People really mean when they say that is they don't want to suffer and be miserable.
and I think he's really important to our culture and the influence that he has. I first came across Jordan Peterson through a friend of mine who introduced some of his biblical lectures to me. Although at first I wasn't as taken by him, I didn't quite connect with all of his biblical lectures at first. He's kind of hard to understand, or at least it was hard for me to understand. I wasn't used to that style of speaking, or that lecturing style, I should say. I didn't go to college, so maybe that has something to do with it. But I do consume a lot of audio. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, or I listen to a lot of YouTube, and I also listen to a lot of podcasts. So I feel like I'm pretty good at consuming audio information. But because of the subject matter and because of his background, it does take a little bit more focus and a little bit more acquiring the style in which he speaks in to really be able to comprehend it better, if that makes sense. A few other things about Jordan Peterson. I really love just the kind of the heart and the spirit behind the 12 rules for life. Two of my favorite rules, be precise with your speech, and then also don't compare yourself to other people, but compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Being precise with your speech is really important regardless of what you're doing in life, because you're always trying to communicate. And even in these videos, I'm trying to narrow down what I'm saying to communicate a message, but also do it from the heart. And I feel like Jordan Peterson does that really well. It's not that he never pauses or never has a quiet moment, but he's being precise when he does speak. And then he's also speaking from the heart, which I really love. And then we've talked about the other one before, but just not comparing yourself to other people, I think is just a good practice. Try to improve yourself every day. Sometimes you'll improve yourself a lot. Sometimes you'll improve yourself a little bit. I think it's just a good rule and a good principle to live by. When it comes to some of the other things that he puts out a lot of YouTube content and then also podcasts and different stuff. I really enjoy watching him talk and just kind of riff on subjects. So that's one of the reasons he's so successful in his lectures. And I don't care for when he interviews someone most of the time, because I say this with a lot of respect, but I don't love his interview style. I'd much rather listen to him be interviewed and give him an opportunity to just really expand on his thoughts and opinions on certain matters. Regardless if I believe what he's saying or I agree with his perspective, I think it's just really nice to hear him passionately speak and articulately speak about subjects. One major thing that Jordan Peterson has done is he's really spoken to young men. He's given guidance to them. And some people will overemphasize the wrong thing. I believe that Jordan Peterson has done a good job in helping hold young men accountable. You know, he's also done that for women as well, for reasons we could talk about in another video. He has really gravitated towards, or young men have gravitated towards him. I think it's also important to note that regardless of your worldview, you can still gain insights and wisdom from someone. So, someone may be very religious or someone may be an atheist, but you can still gain wisdom from them. It just may resonate a little different, and you may have to do a little better job of sorting it out so it fits your worldview. But the practical advice, the classic one of, clean your room, keep your affairs in order, it's great advice. Regardless of your worldview or your religious perspective, it's really good practical advice that will help you create excess value. And to me, that's one of the keys that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but it's one of the keys to creating just a healthy environment and also being valuable to the people around you, whether it be your employer or your spouse or your kids. And there's just something about being responsible and being someone that people can depend on. If you're not doing the basic things, it's hard to be that type of person. Another thing that's been really impressive watching Jordan Peterson navigate is when he gets into these hot topic issues. In my opinion, he does a great job of just keeping his composure and being very articulate in addressing the facts of it. Now, not to say he doesn't get passionate, but he's still articulate. It's a far cry from what I grew up watching on news channels where people are yelling and screaming at one another, debating politics or this or that. He's come to these platforms with a new level of intellect and specificity, just to make sure that he's conveying a message, regardless of the worldview or your religious view. he's able to lay out a more systematic way of looking at it. And what that has done for me, and it is highlighted for me, and one of the things I've been able to hopefully convey to my kids and other people that I communicate with, is be calm and be articulate. And you don't have to be outraged by someone who has a different opinion, but you can stand in the face of adversity or someone who has a different opinion and really come together and discuss the issue at the heart of the issue, and not just, stand on talking points, but really dig into the meat of it. Either way, I really love that. And I love his ability to stand in pressure and fight through that. A quote that I love that kind of embodies this is, become dangerous and learn how to control it. If you're not capable of danger, not being dangerous is not a virtue. Some of the voids that Jordan Peterson has helped fill is around men and women and the roles that they play in society. Now, I believe that most men carry certain traits and most women carry certain traits. Now, is it true that some men can be less masculine and some men or women can be more masculine? Of course, but I'm a man, and so I'll speak to what I think about this and what I teach my son and daughter around this. And I think it's important to understand that we are certain ways, and that there's certain traits that are important, and that typically the 90% carry, and that's what I'll speak to. Some of the things that I've taught my son are: a man should be capable of violence, a man should create excess value, and a man should be provider and protector for the people around him. I was fortunate enough to be able to go see Jordan Peterson with my son. It was great. We got to do a small group with him with about 75 people, where individuals were able to ask him questions. It was all unscripted, and it was very interesting to watch him just process a question and give a response like you see on YouTube, and it was cool to be in the room while he was doing that. Additionally, just watching the lecture prior to that, he was up on a stage with no notes, just off the cuff, talking about a subject, and it was very inspiring. As someone who enjoys speaking and writing, to watch someone be very articulate and share with auditorium full of people, thousands of people, with no notes, was very moving, and it's just an amazing experience. In fact, I feel like I might have a Jordan Peterson moment right here and cry a little bit just thinking about it. But he was really fantastic, and I would encourage you to read some of his information, watch some of his videos. Regardless if you believe his worldview, maybe you're on the other side of the aisle from him, maybe you don't agree with different stances, but regardless your stance, and if you agree with him, he is definitely going to make you think and make you reevaluate certain aspects of how you see the world, which is always a positive thing.